From North Carolina, Ms. Ross is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And first, Mr. Dunn, and to your wife, I am just so profoundly sorry for your loss. I've met with the families of folks who have lost loved ones to fentanyl. It's a problem in my home state of North Carolina. I think it's quadrupled the problem. And so I am 100% with you in finding a way to stop this drug from coming into our country and spreading throughout the country. And so please, please know that. I'm just somewhat saddened by this hearing because we have had the opportunity to work on bipartisan immigration reform, both immigration reform that deals with the safety and security of our border and that addresses the needs of our workforce. I represent North Carolina, and so we have a huge agriculture industry that is dependent on migrant farm workers. We also have a lot of people in our state who come to work in high-tech companies and in biopharma, and they are having difficulty with their visas and extending their stays. And it really is incumbent on all of us to work together to solve this problem. We're seeing some glimmers of hope on the Senate side, but my great fear is that we're going to have one-sided hearings on the House side that don't bring people together to be able to both solve the situation at the border, which is both a humanitarian and a safety issue, and make sure that we have the workforce that we need. And as I said, in my state of North Carolina, that workforce comes from all corners of the world, but has insecurity about whether or not they're going to be able to stay and whether or not their children are going to be able to stay. And so it's my hope that the majority on this committee really wants to do that hard work. I know that Congresswoman Lofgren is not here right now, but the work that she did on farm worker modernization was bipartisan and important, and helped with border issues, and helped with making sure we had enough farm workers. I worked last session in a bipartisan way to help the documented dreamers. And these are young people who come here legally with their parents on a visa. But because our immigration system is so broken, they have to self-deport at age 21. And we have bipartisan sponsors on the House and Senate side. It got through the House, and we're really, really hoping to work on that. And so it's in that spirit that I would both ask my colleagues to work on this issue, and I will be asking some questions of our witnesses. And my first question is for our judge. Please tell me how to appropriately pronounce your name. Samaniego. So as I've said, immigration has become such a partisan issue. And what I'd like to know from you are what are things that work where you think we can get some bipartisan support at the border?
And I'm glad you're saying that, Congresswoman, because we gain a lot of traction and things seem to be moving in the right direction. And then when politics enters, it sort of distracts us from doing what we need to do. Mm-hmm. But I think you would think at this point that, necessity would give us the way towards getting job creations, and we hear a lot about that. And I ask two questions from every migrant, every person I meet, and that's one, how long have you been traveling, just to get them to sympathize with what's happening with them, and then secondly, what is it that you did in your country? And I can tell you, plumbers, teachers, bricklayers, agriculture, I mean, everyone has, there's no one that has said, I'm just a laborer, they've worked in farms, they've worked in doing things that we need. And so if you connect the two, that we have a tremendous need. I know just in El Paso, right there on the border, we have maybe 20%, that we could use 20%, especially in the service industries and the entertainment industries. And they have all of that talents and the abilities. And I think the first thing is, instead of trying to eat the elephant in one sitting, that we start saying, what are some of the small things that we could do? And I believe from just my experience that job creation and connecting the immigration situation to jobs. We've already lived through the Bracero situation that, that we needed, and we used it properly, and it was very successful. So I think the first thing is that I hear is ready to work, and if we could connect it with our needs here in our country.
Thank you so much, and I yield back.
Thank you.
Generally yields back. Judge, why wasn't it fixed last year?
Pardon me?
Why